Rabbi Mendy Turen, Shabbat Jewish Center of Springfield, Illinois.
In the merit of the spiritual giant of our time and our country, Melech HaMashiach, the Lubavitcher Rebbe Shlita, whom I have the privilege to represent here in Springfield.
At this moment, please give a warm welcome to the Rebbe's Shliach to Springfield, Illinois, Rabbi Mendy Turen.
Esteemed Rabbonim, members of the Vada Kinus of Merkez L'Inyonei Chinuch, fellow Shluchim, my dear father, friends and supporters, Agut Vach, L'chaim, L'chaim V'Levracha. Standing here tonight in a room filled with Rabbanim and Shluchim, to say I am humbled is truly an understatement. However, I hope that the words that will be said here tonight will be Payil Pu'ulasam V'yifalu Biyu B'Sheimim. It was one Friday night. We were sitting in our Chabad house in Springfield, and there's a knock on the door. We open the door. A young lady is standing there in her doctor's scrubs. Of course, we invite her in and we welcome her very warmly. She asks if she can have a siddur. We give her a siddur and she goes to daven sincerely, quietly. After she finishes davening, we invite her to join us for the meal, for the Sudas Shabbos. She joined us. She seemed a little uncomfortable. And after talking to her for a while, we realized that she's from right here in Brooklyn. Let's just say she hasn't been to a shul or to Chabad house in quite some time. There's no better way to describe it than simply to say the spark inside of her neshama, was searching for something. After she left, that was one of those moments that we thought, wow, it's all worth it just for this, just to be able to light, to kindle her spark, her neshama at the time of need. This leads us to the next part of the story. Of course, we kept in touch with her. A few months later, Baruch Hashem, she got engaged. Now, since we moved to Springfield, we knew immediately that there was a vital need for a mikvah in Springfield. However, when her wedding was approaching, that gave us the final push to actually make the mikvah happen. You know, such a project we thought would take a long time. It's a tremendous project. It takes a tremendous amount of funding, a tremendous amount of kaiches, and it usually, I thought, takes a few years. B'chlal, my father-in-law likes to say, Mendy's crazy over mikvah. I always was very into mikvah. But here it gave us that final push that we needed. And even though it was such a big project, we knew it was the right thing to do. We got the Rebbe's brachas and we went ahead with it. Every year, before Elul, we have our annual fundraiser, which Baruch Hashem has been with much success. This past year, we did a little larger fundraiser than usual, but the majority of the funds went towards the mikvah. So we weren't sure how we would pay the bills over the next year. Before, after, during the campaign, this was on our heads, but we were trying not to worry about it. 2 weeks after the campaign, I get a phone call. These type of phone calls, I literally thought it was a scam. Or some would say, too good to be true. The phone rings, I pick up the phone, a fellow from California is on the line. And he says, I have a property in Springfield, Illinois, which I want to donate to Chabad of Springfield. Such a phone call I never receive. To get a donation of land is not a simple project, if I may say. It takes a lot of time, and you're always nervous. Is it going to come through? If Chas v'Shalom something could happen in the middle, maybe there'll be a change of heart, a change of mind. And like I said, it can take many months. In this public forum, I want to thank the Eibishter and thank the Rebbe that Baruch Hashem, just last Friday, we signed the final papers and now the property belongs to the Rebbe under the title Chabad of Springfield. This year on Yud Shvat, Hasidim will be celebrating 70 years of the Rebbe's Nesius. As Shluchim, we have to take a moment to think, how is this going to affect our Shlichus? A few years ago, while I was still a bacher, I had many friends, some of whom were a little older than me, who I remember them as bachrim. They had a strong koch in the Rebbe, in Mashiach, and it was clear by them that the Motzei Hashem, after they get married, they're going to go on Shlichus, and of course they're going to have a very big focus on the Iker Shlichus. Some ended up getting married, Baruch Hashem, and after marriage, sometimes life hits you. And unfortunately, some of them didn't end up going on Shlichus. And some that did, didn't exactly have the same koch in Mashiach as when they were bachrim. So I looked at myself and thought, why will I be any different? Right now, Shlichus, Mashiach, of course! But that's what they all thought. So right then and there, I made a strong commitment to the Rebbe that come what may, Emir Hashem, I will definitely go on the Rebbe's Shlichus with total dedication to Kabbalas Pnei Mashiach Tzidkenu. And Baruch Hashem, now we are already a few years on the Rebbe's Shlichus to the capital of the state of Illinois. Sometimes people think that the message of Mashiach, it's for Eretz Yisrael dikers, or maybe some third world country, maybe in India, in Africa, in Mexico. Here, in America, it can't work. We have to remember the Hayrais of our Rabbeim. Machdo Eretz Yisrael. America is nicht anders. I want to share with you the biggest surprise that I have while I was on my Shlichus in Springfield. That when the Rebbe said the world is ready, the world is ready. It's not a bracha, it's not wishful thinking. When the Rebbe said that, that is the reality. I gave a series of classes titled The Messiah Mystery. Many from the Reform and from the conservative communities, including many of the leaders of those communities, participated in the classes. Just so you understand, they didn't just accept everything I said. It's not that they didn't like it. They actually asked Baruch Hashem for more classes. But they put up a fight when they didn't agree. For example, when we spoke about the idea of karbonis, some of them were very passionately opposed and weren't shy to share their opinion. Now, in these classes, we went through everything. From the creation of the world until where are we holding today in the Geula process. And of course, that the Rebbe is Melech HaMashiach. When it came to these inyanim, suddenly they were able to be Makabel. I'm not saying every participant walked away saying Rebbe Melech HaMashiach every time they mentioned the Rebbe. But they were able to understand, they were able to comprehend these ideas, or at least, at minimum, how we are able to come to these conclusions. Many times we create our own limitations. We see the world through our own pair of glasses. And we think that's how everybody looks at it. As Lubavitchers, what we debate and what we think is hard for others to accept, in my case, wasn't Bichlal the problem. What was difficult? What did they have a hard time accepting? Karbonis. In general, the entire idea of Shlichus, in essence, is not exactly rational. Doesn't make so much sense. It is embedded in a tremendous amount of emunah. We are going to cities that are not looking for rabbis necessarily, or not necessarily looking to open a new Jewish center, but we go lechatchila Rebbe. We go with the complete emunah that when the Rebbe tells us a Yid has a spark inside of him, has an neshama, and he really wants to serve the Eibishter, that is the case. That is the reality. Embedded in that emunah is the whole shlichus. So now what's demanded from us is simply to take that to the next level. We need to have the same complete emunah that when the Rebbe said the world is ready, this is the reality. And the Rebbe gave us the job of revealing it. Always. The Rebbe would come out with something, the world would go crazy, and then accept it and do it themselves. For example, Miftzah Tefillin, many opposed, but then they started doing it themselves. Outreach in general, the same thing. Many opposed, and then many started doing outreach themselves. Nowadays, it's well known how many non-Orthodox, even at their sermons, have spoke so highly of Chabad. Everybody sees the Rebbe's vision, the Rebbe's light, and the Rebbe's mission being fulfilled. But the nekuda is that we are always trendsetters. We are always years ahead of everybody. Because we are listening to the Rebbe's Haydois and the Rebbe's instructions. The Rebbe is the one who sets the tone for the entire world. With Mashiach, the same thing. In the Mems, in the Nuns, it was, Lubavitch is crazy, they kachin Mashiach. Now, so many are having a strong kachin Mashiach. Some of you may have seen recently, there was the Geula gatherings all around the world. But just like it always was, so too now. We have the mission of standing at the forefront, schlepping and inspiring everybody with us. Now we are up to the last step, and it is up to us to make it happen. We are standing in a place where the general Kachin Mashiach is already there. Now we need to bring the world to recognize Melech HaMashiach. They have to be able to be Mikabel Pnei Mashiach. Fellow Shluchim, present Shluchim, those Bachrim and younger light that are looking to go on Shlichus, there are many places today that need Shluchim and are thirsty and are waiting to be prepared for Kabbalas Pnei Mashiach. This year we're 1,000 shluchim in this room. Next year there should be hundreds more. Let's be honest. We know that it's not popular, but what the Rebbe wants is ten li'es hanefesh. Give yourself fully to the Rebbe's shlichus hayechida. We cannot wait for others or for anything. It is up to us. We have to conquer the world. If not us, then who? If not now, then when? When I was learning in Benoit a few years ago, I heard the following story many times, and it had a tremendous impact on me. Rebbe Michal Teitelbaum, when he was in Russia, he was once sent on a special shlichus by the Frierdiker Rebbe to go build a mikvah in a distant city. There weren't trains too often to that city. So as soon as he got the shlichus, he rushed to the train station to catch the only train probably for a few days. As he got there, he saw the train was departing, was leaving the train station. Without much time to think, knowing he's on a shlichus of the Rebbe, he jumped on the back of this train and held on for dear life. The quick train was moving through the freezing cold Russian winter. It was not easy to hold on. And as time was going by, he really wanted to let go. However, letting go would probably have signaled immediate death, layaleinu. But it was hard. So he wanted to let go, and then he remembered, it's not right. My wife and kids are waiting for me at home. How could I let go? And that gave him an extra boost of koyach to be able to hold on for a little longer. But as the journey was going, the difficulties were overpowering and it was too hard for him. He wanted to let go. And then he remembered how important Kfuras Yisrael, Jewish burial, is in Yiddishkeit. And that gave him an extra boost. But once again, it was getting too difficult. But then the realization came to mind that if he wouldn't make it there, the Rebbe's shlichus won't be fulfilled. The thought that the Rebbe gave me a shlichus and I have to fulfill it is what kept him remaining for the rest of the journey, to be able to hold on even through the freezing cold journey. We need to have this thought every day, that the Rebbe gave me a shlichus, I have to fulfill it. We must survive. The Rebbe told us that everything has been completed. So what is it that's still needed? The only thing is for shluchim to go out while being fully fused, fully focused on the one nekuda, the nekuda of Mashiach. There are many great kiruv organizations out there that work on being mekarev, yidin, to Yiddishkeit, v'chulu. Our special mission is to be mekabel pnei Mashiach tzidkenu. I'm talking to you, the Shliach, who's out there and hesitant. We must let others know where we are holding in the gula process and who is ready to take us out of galus. This is the only shlichus left. In general, there are so many signs that show that the world is ready. The only obstacle is the one from within. From within Chabad, and more importantly, from within ourselves. We have to realize that we can be our biggest obstacles. Why are we making stop signs and stopping by them? Tafshin Nun, you have to open your eyes to see Mashiach. Tafshin Pei, you have to close your eyes to not see Mashiach. We have to be living Mashiach. This year, as we approach Shivim Shana on Yud Shvat, we have to focus on this even more. Being that 70 is the completion of 7, as we all know, 7 is Malchus. This year we have to strengthen in Malchus, in Kabbalas HaMalchus, in Kabbalas Pnei Mashiach Tzidkenu. If someone were to come to you and ask you to explain to them, what is the Rebbe? Or for the same token, what is shlichus? And you explained it to them at great length. But the word Mashiach isn't mentioned. You may have explained to them something beautiful. But the Rebbe or shlichus, it was not. We all have to leave here tonight with a strong hachlata. There are so many areas to work on, whether learning about Mashiach in general, learning the weekly Sikha of Nun Aleph Nun Beis, making sure our homes are living Mashiach. But if I may suggest that each of us right here tonight makes a strong hachlata that sometime between now and Yud Shvat, before Shivim Shana, he establishes a new class in his Chabad house on the topic of Mashiach and Melech HaMashiach. Whether it's a weekly class, a one-time series, or even just a one-time class, such a hachlata, if we're all able to leave here tonight, would be a very gleiche Zach, if I may say so myself. The main thing is that the etzem hachlata b'machshava, even before we have the opportunity to fulfill it, b'payil, will already bring about this that we are all waiting for, to be mekabel pnei Mashiach tzidkenu, with the Rebbe Melech HaMashiach Shlita. May it be speedily with the complete Tiskalus, Tekef umiyad mamish now. Yechi Adonenu, Moreinu v'Rabbeinu, Melech HaMashiach, Leilam Vod, L'chaim und a gute Woche.